And away we go. It is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com. If you find yourself down at the banks downtown for any reason, make sure you are stopping by and visiting our good friends at the Holy Grail. Get yourself something to eat. Get yourself a nice cold beverage as you get ready for the summer and you take in Dora down at the banks, and our good friends at the Holy Grail will get you absolutely taken care of. Let's get this show rolling today. We've got a special guest joining us, one of the newest members of the Bearcat family, joining Katrina Meriweather and the women's basketball staff. Somebody that I've known. She doesn't remember me, but somebody that I've known for a long time. Her dad was a big influence on my life and somebody I love catching up with anytime that we run into each other. Abby Jump, one of the are you officially associate head coach here, or is it
just assistant and recruiting coordinator? Yep.
Okay, you were the associate at Memphis, right? And then I know they change. You gotta. That's how you get a raise next year as you become associate head coach.
I'm just happy to be on staff. If it was graduate assistant, I guess I would go back to school. I'm good with whatever.
Abby is a graduate from Northern Kentucky, Ryle High School, went to Wright State and started her coaching career there with Coach Meriweather, has followed her to Memphis and then here to Cincinnati.
Wright State?
Aaron's a Wright State alum as well.
There you go. Right her up.
Somebody there. I was informing Abby before the show. I actually informed her dad that there was a good chance that she would be coming to Cincinnati when Katrina got the job, and he was very excited. I told him not to let you know, not to let you in on that I had kind of spoiled the surprise. But it's great to have you on. Welcome to the network, and we are excited to have you here in Clifton. And tell us, what's it like getting to be back home and around the family, and now you don't have to take people many hours away to ride the four-wheelers and the golf carts.
Yep. Oh, you heard about that.
I did my homework a little bit.
I appreciate you all both for letting me come on. I'm really excited. It's been great. This is a dream in a lot of different ways for all of us. Obviously for Trina coming home literally, but it's been really cool. It's changed a lot since I've been back. I mean, I made stops at Bucknell, Moorhead before I got to Wright State and Memphis. So I've been gone for a while. And so it's been really cool just to be home and see all the changes around Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati. But I've seen my family more in the past month than I have in 2 years being in Memphis. And so we knew it would be a change in that way of seeing everybody more, but it's been really special.
What was it like kind of growing up? What were your thoughts on the Cincinnati program? Like from the outside looking in, it's a program that has a lot of potential. It hasn't been able to gain consistent traction in the women's landscape yet. Obviously, with the move to the Big 12, you hope and you're going to work to make things a little bit different on that front. But just take me through what your view of Cincinnati women's basketball was growing up in this area, and then what's the vision for you and obviously Katrina being an alum and the coaching staff going forward?
Right. Well, the program's known success, right? You think about Hall of Famer Lori Pirtle, the teams that Trina's been a part of, where she goes to a postseason for 4 years straight, the only Bearcat to do that. So the program's known success in multiple conferences. So growing up, I spent a lot of time on campus. Actually was trained by the Gadulis, so got to work out with a handful of women's players and watch the program throughout high school. But it's known success, so it's no different. The way we went down to Memphis is the same. That program knew success as well. So we're not walking into anything that no team has ever been a part of, a 20-win program or the NCAA tournament or WNIT. They've known that. So my view was, let's go do the same thing. Let's bring it back. Let's get it going. And here's the thing, Michelle recruited some really talented players. Their staff did a great job. I mean, we have talent on the 7 returners. We have talent. And our job is just to build on that, mold on that. and do everything we can daily to build it the right way with the right people to compete for championships. But the program's known success, and when you have a dozen of her teammates at the press conference and Lori Purtle, like that matters. That matters having that alumni support. It matters having the city support, and it's Trina, so we have it.
Tell us about the style of basketball that you guys employ. What's the system? What's it going to look like when fans go to a women's basketball game this winter?
Yeah. Well, the 7 players we inherited are what we would say is the best shooting team we've inherited as a staff together. So we're going to build around that. We're going to be shooting a lot. We're going to be playing fast. That's not going to change. Our program has always been around defending and rebounding. We won at Wright State doing it that way. We won at Memphis doing it that way. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter if you have great shooters or not. If you can't make a shot that day, you still have to find a way to win. And we've done it multiple ways. Last year at Memphis, we made 13 threes one game and won, and the next day we were 0 for 18 and won. And so we're going to defend and rebound. We're going to play fast. And then having those 7 players that can all make threes, we're going to utilize them.
Now, you've got a Ryle Raider coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe your dad taught her mom, right?
Well,
she was a grade behind me. I don't know which side she was on, but I know she was a grade behind me, and he was there.
Well, he coached her dad.
He coached her dad, and I believe he taught her mom.
For sure, yep. And so there's some ties, obviously, with that. It's a very small world.
That's an easy recruiting call to make when you guys got here, right? Like, do you just have your dad, like, call Aaron or Trevor and work this thing out?
Right. Yeah, it's Northern Kentucky is a very, very small place, basketball world for sure. So that's really cool. It's really cool to have someone that we've come from the same place, same stopping grounds, and to have those personal connections with it. It's going to be really special.
She can shoot.
She can.
She can really shoot the ball.
Yeah, she can. She's got a really high release that's really, really tough to contest. So, we're going to put her in positions to be able to make shots.
You talked about the 7 women that are returning. Give us a little, you guys got workouts for a couple weeks right before the semester ended, right? What were your impressions kind of from this team, those 7 players as you got to look early?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we got to play against them 4 times the last 2 years.
Of course, yeah.
You have your scouting report on them, what you assume and what you believe that they can do and capable of. But getting into the gym, Trina had them for a week straight by herself while we were still at Memphis. When the rest of us came up, Ashley and Brina, we came up and worked out with them. I was blown away. We knew that they were really special and capable of a lot, but I was blown away by their shooting ability, their coachability, and their energy. Like that's a group. Majority of the 7, they've won in a Cincinnati uniform. Like you think of Jillian Hayes in the first year that she had at Cincinnati. Like these players have won before and they expect to. But their energy is right. They want to win and they're really hard workers. So I was honestly blown away. We all were like, y'all, we have something here. We have something to build off of. And again, the same way when we went down to Memphis, everybody overlooked it. It's okay. We operate really well being underdogs. We operate really well being overlooked. And that doesn't change our mentality. It doesn't change our perspective on our players either. We're just going to work.
Dave? That's Dave, by the way. He's my co-host. Dave, Abby, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
You mentioned the 7 returners and the shooting ability. Obviously, you have some spots to fill. The transfer portal is alive and well in women's basketball, just like it is in the men's game. What are some areas that you guys are kind of have focused on, whether it's where are you trying to supplement this roster with additions for next season?
Yep. So we have 5 freshmen coming in, 4 that were previously signed. We brought in a 6'5" post player from Virginia that originally signed with us at Memphis. She's a shooting post player, so she's going to stretch the floor, and her size is what we need on the inside. But again, like, she's going to stretch the floor. We got Destiny Thomas, who was our starting post player at Memphis as well. She is signed and she is 6'4". So what we went and got is sized inside. And then as well as we added Aisha Dia that played at Penn State, super athletic guard that can shoot as well, rebound. So what we did was we just added a little bit more size. You have Clarissa Craig that ultimately has completely transformed her body in the offseason and is kind of turned into a tweener where she can play that 4 or 5 spot and play out on the perimeter as well. So we went and just got bigger on the inside. And again, people that are capable of shooting 15 feet threes included. So going forward, we'll have to evaluate the roster and what it looks like this year. But the more size, the better. More speed, the better. But we're guard heavy, 1 through 3 spots, and they're really talented, and they all bring something different. The 4 that signed, we have really talented freshmen coming in that are tough. A guard from Texas, Reagan Jackson, that is extremely tough and wants to be in pressure situations and works really hard. So we have really good pieces.
I imagine you guys have, you obviously being from the area, Coach Meriweather playing at UC, you're going to recruit Ohio, you're going to recruit probably Indiana and Michigan. Are there any other areas nationally that you guys feel like you have good relationships in that moving forward, especially with the move to the Big 12, that might be beneficial when you guys, kind of really get to use those relationships? I know the first year is kind of a shotgun thing. You piece together what you can, but moving forward, where should we see you guys out on the road trying to find future Bearcats?
Right. Well, first and foremost, like you said, we're going to take care of home. So the players from Ohio and the surrounding, in the region that want to be Bearcats, and that I can't emphasize enough. Trina said that in her press conference. We want the people who want to be at Cincinnati, and for no other reason than to wear Cincinnati across their chest. So we'll take care of home first within the state and the region. But on top of that, obviously our staff has a lot of ties in Indy and Michigan as well. But Katrina Meriweather, she was at New Mexico, so she has some West Coast ties, Texas ties. I recruit Florida heavily. So we'll go where the players are. We'll go wherever the pieces that we need are. Again, our 6'5" post player that Brina recruited is from Richmond, Virginia. We'll go where the pieces are that are right for a program. So, but again, Florida, Texas, and then the region.
So take me through, who is Abby Jump? Let's give people a little bit better idea of that. You grew up, your dad was a coach. He was a basketball coach. He was a baseball coach. He was a teacher. Your mom is awesome. Take me through the family and the background and kind of what makes you tick and got you into basketball and then ultimately into coaching.
Yeah, well, I think what got me into basketball is literally growing up in the gym. I can't remember a time I got to grow up in Lloyd's gym with some really, really talented players. You think of Deshaun Kelly, that I can remember him lifting me up and letting me dunk and doing all that, right? So I grew up in the gym. I really
Charles
don't know
Sheffield,
if I had,
Randy Lee, Jason Brake.
It could go on and on. I remember those guys. And then on top of that, my grandpa coached at Wyoming High School, where he won a state championship. So growing up, I was just surrounded by coaches. And regardless of him coaching football, he was a coach nonetheless. So don't really know if I had a choice other than to play basketball and to be a coach, but I'm okay with that. I don't have a backup plan. So this is what I feel like I'm supposed to do. Outside a little bit, I golf. I'm a golfer, so I enjoy.
You were pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You were pretty good in high school, I heard.
I was decent. I listen. I picked.
This is a golf podcast, by the way. I mean,
Coach
Pete Thomas likes to golf. Coach Pete, football. Doug Martin was on last. I mean, we got to get the Bearcat Journal. Me, Abby, Doug, Pete together. We'll go out and film it. Get some great content.
Well, what's crazy about Doug Martin, I ran into him in Linder the other day. His son is a year older than me. We went to high school together. He's the one that really, him and his friend Blake Hamilton that played UC golf as well, they taught me and took me to the golf ranch and had me pick up a club. So it's really Doug Martin's son that got me into it. So again, small world. But yeah, I love to golf, love to relax in that way, but I'm ultra competitive. It's pretty bad in some days. I just want to win, but I don't know. This coaching thing has been really, really special because basketball has been the smallest piece of it. When you get into college coaching, like, yes, gonna coach all day long and do this all day long and X's and O's, and it's not. It's the smallest piece of the puzzle, and that's what makes it special. And so, I've learned a lot from my dad. I learned a lot from my grandpa on the coaching aspect of it, of how to be a player's coach, how to build and maintain those relationships. You brought up my mom. I think I get my work ethic from her. I think I get, my empathy and compassion.
Your dad.
I think I probably get a little bit of that competitive juice from him and my grandpa, but no, I just family wise, I have a great family, and I'm just really, really thankful. I get to see them, and they get to be in the stands, and it's more than just once or twice a year now.
I'm going to be a lot more women's games now, just hanging out with your dad. Like I miss hanging out with, seeing him as much as I did when I was younger, and it'd be really cool to have him. It'd be really cool to have him around a lot more. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
That's awesome.
You're gonna have to deal with me. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. He'll probably sit up in the top corner somewhere. I know it. He tries not to give me his perspective after every single game, but I enjoy it. I enjoy that he gets to see and watch a lot. He came down to Memphis a lot. He really
Not
liked.
Surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I used to light him up in batting practice. How much does he talk about that city championship team? He talks about that team a lot, doesn't he?
He talks about the team a lot, not about batting practice. He just tells me how much that y'all won.
We won a lot.
He's really proud of that.
I wasn't a critical piece of that team, but I was on that team.
Hey,
I wasn't one of the guys that was making it go.
Every role is important. Every role is important.
He will tell you I hit the most unsuspecting home run he's ever seen. We were playing like our rival at Cove Calf. The wind was blowing out at about 30 miles an hour. I lofted one up, and it went out over the right field fence. And literally everybody at the field was looking at each other going,
no way.
All these great players on these two teams. That guy did not just hit a home run.
Hey,
no way.
It was your day. It was your day.
Just because it's your first time on the pod does not mean you have to blow smoke. I mean, everybody does not have a role. I mean,
Hey, listen, I got to play on a team where if all I had to do was run corner to corner and watch Kim Dimming score 35 points, listen, I did my job. I ran corner to corner. Every role is important.
I was there to bunt guys over. There wasn't, so I had to swing away once, and I got lucky. I was
Chad, you earned
to bunt people over.
Chad, you earned it. It was your day. The ball was meant to go over.
I got the big picture that they got all of us that won the city championship.
What age was this?
13, 14. We won the knot hole. Like we played at Old Cros or at New Crosley and Blue Ash. We won the knot hole.
So you were like the Roger Dorn of this team.
No, I didn't play. No. It wasn't that. Like I played. It's all right. Actually, it's funny. Me and Trevor Holtman, who is the family of Abby that's coming in. We kind of platooned in right field.
Okay. Trevor taught me at Ryle. He was my math teacher.
Yeah, I'm old, Abby. Yeah, I know.
That's not what it was targeted for.
I grew up actually with Trevor's wife, Heather, as well. So like Northern Kentucky, it's all
everybody's path crosses for sure.
You're the one saying it, not me.
What were you like as a player? Take us through like a good career at Wright State, before you got into coaching. What was Abby Jump like as a player on some pretty good Ryle teams in high school too?
Yeah, I mean, my entire high school and college career, I got to play with some really special players that made my job a lot easier. At Ryle, I got to play with Jenna Crittenden that ended up playing at Xavier. I played with Sydney Moss for a little bit. Obviously went to Florida and then won national championships at Thomas More. So I just was surrounded by some really good players. So my job was really easy, which was just get them the ball when they were open and to make shots when they were double teamed. And the same thing at Wright State, walk into a system that Mike Bradbury, who's now at the University of New Mexico, who was the head coach when Trina was an assistant at Wright State, go there and he just built from the ground up. And we won pretty quickly, but I played with Kim Demings, who was Horizon League Player of the Year. I think she still holds the record for most points, men or women, in the Horizon League. So just incredibly special. But I was just a player that I wanted to show up every day and so make my teammates proud and make shots when I was open and make their job easier, but then take care of them. Like Kim Demings was my roommate in for 4 years. I wanted to make sure that she could show up and score 35 if she needed to so we could win. So I did. I knew what my role was, which was to show up, work hard every day, make shots, and be, the leader of whether it was the bench mob or whatever it may be. So that taught me a lot going into coaching because I know what it feels like to be the 15th person. I know what it feels like to be the 10th, the sixth man, and a starter. So I think ultimately my high school and college career propelled me into the coaching situation.
You've garnered some attention since you showed up on campus with the swag that you've been rocking in the pictures, and I even went a little.
Yeah, that's nice. That's real nice.
Went a little old school for you today, but the swag, where's that come from? Where's this? Everybody else is kind of buttoned up and they're in their normal UC stuff, and you're going heavy on it.
Yeah, I like the retro look. I like that a lot. I have a real issue with shoes, so I'm okay with admitting that.
It might get worse for you here soon.
Well,
we're not allowed to talk about it, but
hey, neither can confirm nor deny. There's no comment. No comment. I think there's been enough out there publicly. But no, I don't know. I enjoy the gear. I think, there's nothing better than some red and black with a C-paw on it. Trina's been saying that since we're at Wright State. She's very proud to wear her Cincinnati alumni gear. And so it's been really cool to actually put it on too. And there's some really nice shoes that can match the C-paw for sure.
This is now your, third different coaching on Katrina's staff.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, I'm sure you had opportunities, but what is it about coaching with her that, fans need to know? Why do you like coaching with her? What kind of, give us some details on her as a coach and why you guys seem to have such a good bond and you've moved, from Wright State to Memphis and now here.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you asked me that because Trina is very humble, doesn't like to talk about herself. So anytime we have an opportunity like this, I love talking about the difference maker that she is, the impactful leader that she is. She challenges all of us. She puts us in positions, every single person on staff, to grow, to be better as coaches, as people, human beings. She's just really special. She does it the right way. It's all about the people. It's all about the relationships. It's about believing in people and getting the most out of them. And she did that with me when I was a player and she was an assistant coach. She's someone that late night in the office, that's who I would go talk to. I told her I wanted to be a college coach and she helped me. The second I told her, she told me what I needed to do. I just believe in loyalty. She has been a dream to work for. In reality, the place is as special as the people in it. And so no matter any opportunity, the best opportunity I'll always have is to be with her because I know that she's going to make sure I'm prepared in every way possible to be the best coach I can be. And I just feel like I've been a better person just by working and being around her. But she's awesome. She's an ultra competitor. She wants to win, but she's not going to sacrifice that for the way that she treats people, and I think that is incredibly special. So you're going to, when you see her, it's someone who wants to win, and she's going to compete every day. She's going to try to be the best person she can be every day for our players, for us. The opportunity for her to come home to Cincinnati, she may not feel like some days that she deserves it, but she earned it. She earned it by working her butt off at Wright State without looking for another opportunity, going to Memphis without looking for another opportunity, and did what she did in 2 years there. So she earned the right to come home and stand on the sidelines that she played on.
So you're a big-time North Carolina fan, and I know that was something you and your dad kind of shared growing up. You went Roy Williams basketball camp? Like you were the only girl?
Yeah, they
let
me in, and on the floor, I think we gave ourselves some self-guided tours. I don't know if we were supposed to do that, but we did it. And and my dad, we did it. But yeah,
he just does whatever. He's more of a ask for forgiveness, not permission type guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just a little bit. We spent a lot of time at Chapel Hill growing up when I was in elementary and middle school. Went there a lot. Been a North Carolina fan since I was, baby blue walls growing up. North Carolina hat every day growing up. So love.
Have you cut it up with Wes yet? Have you chopped it up with Wes yet?
I have met him a couple of times and spoke to him. I know that they are very busy putting together their awesome roster that they've been working on. But I have met him a couple of times, and it is funny. I know the staff, they know how big of a North Carolina fan I am too. And I was a huge Wes Miller fan just because of his role on that team. So it was.
You guys are about the same height, aren't you?
Oh no! Don't get me into that. Don't pull me into that. No, he's been really awesome. He's been really awesome. And the first day that we all got there, he came over and he's been helpful. The whole staff has been helpful, so it's been really cool.
And he was pretty fun to watch as a player, though. Just knowing it's North Carolina. There's 5 stars everywhere, and there's this scrappy little 5'9" point walk-on point guard that started for a year and won a national championship. And I'm sure you knew when Cincinnati hired him, you were like, oh,
yeah, I was like, okay, yep. I've been a big fan of just a lot of people that have gone through that program. Big fan of Roy Williams and everything that program's done. So it is pretty cool that he's in the same building for sure.
Roy's been to a couple men's games since Wes has been here, so maybe you can get him to stick in town for a day and check out a women's game too.
We'll see. Maybe I'll have to pull out the old pictures that I have with him just for him to believe it. So I don't look like I'm a fangirl with Roy Williams in the gym.
Dave, you got anything else?
Yeah, the Big 12 obviously is a huge topic. We're less than 2 months away from officially being in. A lot of the talk, gets centered around football and men's basketball, but from your guys' perspective, I'm sure it's just as big of a deal. And how have you guys been using that? And what is I guess for people, and I'm one of them that doesn't, follow the women's game super closely, and you were at Memphis and now you're at UC. So what is the big difference between AAC ladies basketball to now going to the Big 12?
Yeah. Well, the one big thing, Dave, is we're going to have to make you a women's basketball fan and get you out to some games.
All right.
Well, the American Conference is really tough. You have to play USF, who's a top 25 program, and it has been for the last decade, that just had 2 draft picks. So you had to compete against them, and obviously against Houston and UCF that are both going Big 12 as well. But it was a really tough conference. I think the biggest thing with the Big 12 is that it's not a one-bid league. And so where you're fighting for, top half position to get yourself into the NCAA tournament, which is something that we're excited about. To go in and compete in that league against, although Texas and Oklahoma will be in for this 1 year, you're dealing with top 25 programs. So on the recruiting aspect of it, we've talked about the opportunity that the Big 12 presents itself, and that's no secret. That's on football, men's basketball, women's basketball, for all sports. The opportunity to compete in a conference where there's so many opportunities involved with it is really important and special. And again, being in a league that's not a one bid situation where you don't have to win and play your best 3 games in a row to win a tournament championship to go to the NCAA tournament. That's not the situation we're in. This is a league where they took 5-6 teams last year to the NCAA tournament. It's completely and utterly competitive. The Texas teams that you have to deal with. TCU just got a new coach who's putting together a nice team too. So, we're going to have to continuously work and put rosters together that can compete for championships, and we will. But it's nothing new. We went from dealing with the Green Bays in the Horizon League that were top 25 and working to compete with them and beat them. And then you go to Memphis and have to deal with the USFs and try everything possible to compete with them and be in the top 2 or 3 to have a chance. And now we're going to the Big 12 where, we like our chances of finding a way to finish in the top half so that you still can see your name on the NCAA tournament, whether it's the bubble or whatever it is, but you see your name pop up on one of the brackets. And then, we're going to get it to a point where we are competing for championships and not just competing. We're going to find a way to win.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you. We appreciate your time and fun telling some story. I didn't react to it, but you blew my mind with the Sean Kelly reference. Who was one of my best friends growing up. Like, we used to play backyard basketball at our friend Kaiser's house.
No, Chad, I remember all those guys. I literally grew up running the sidelines in that gym. So I remember all of them and just my dad telling me stories. And when my grandpa passed, Sean reached out as well. So, those guys
I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
Yeah, really special.
I have to tag him on this somehow and let him know that he got brought up tonight.
Yeah,
because
please do.
I do. I remember you as a toddler. Like, it's so weird to see, like, when I followed you, just because of my relationship with your dad as you bounced around and were working your way up the ranks. So I did. As soon as I saw Katrina got the job, I messaged your dad and said, "Hey, I think Abby's coming home." What?
Yeah.
I think this is really happening. He's like, "Don't mess with me," and he called me by the nickname that you're not allowed to say.
Yeah, I didn't spoil the news. I wanted everything to work out the way it was supposed to, but the whole family was really excited. They couldn't wait. Put on some red and black. So, but I appreciate you guys for having me on. Any chance to talk about the program, Trina, our players. Really enjoy that and always look forward to doing that. So look forward to seeing you both at some games.
All right.
Yeah.
And my 12-year-old is a volleyball girl, so we're gonna have to kind of push her back towards basketball. But
all good with volleyball. Trina played it, so I'm not going to say anything about volleyball. I didn't play. I don't think it was
a volleyball school. Like, they're the power.
It is. It is a volleyball school at this point for sure. They're very, very good. But yeah.
My daughter, every time that Gray shows up on their middle school, she's like, "Oh, we got to play Gray today."
That volleyball program has been it's taken off for sure. But no hard feelings with volleyball. She can do both. Just bring her out to some games too. Women's basketball.
Right. Appreciate it, Abby. Welcome to the network. We will enjoy having you back on soon. And thanks for taking some time out for us and getting a chance to talk about the program. It was fantastic. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell your parents I said hello.
Will do.
So there you go. Abby Jump, assistant coach for Katrina Meriweather and the new Cincinnati women's basketball program. And for me, that's literally, I've known her since she was born. Like that, it's pretty cool to see that kind of happen.
For sure. It's always, I'm sure it means, they live a nomadic life, but I'm sure when you think that maybe you have the opportunity to come back and coach at, a school that is a high-level program and is going to be, whatever it is, 10, 15, 20 minutes from where you grew up. I mean, can't help but be excited about those opportunities. And I'm not, you never think that where you're coaching is going to make a difference in like the level of effort you put in. But I mean, it does have to hit a little bit harder that you want to be, even more successful when you have so much of your support system will be around. And,
they're going to be in the stands for every game.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, I think what you said was really positive, and moving forward, I think sounds like they've got a pretty good roster to work with. You never know what that's like when a coaching change happens. So hopefully they can, handle themselves well in a big step up in competition this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, the program has had those flashes of success. There's been issues sustaining it. And I mean, I think you find somebody that's got the connection to the program that Katrina Meriweather does and has seen the type of success that they saw when Katrina was here. She's going to have a desire to get it back to that. And from all accounts, the people at Memphis loved her. Like, that's a program that is kind of mirrored Cincinnati's on the women's side. They haven't had that ability. They've had spurts where it's like they're turning the corner and then a dip and then a rise and a dip. Like there hasn't been that sustained level of success. And hopefully this is the staff that can come in and kind of push them over the top on that. It would be really cool to see not only a head coach that went to UC, but like I said, Abby that is from the area and has a lot of ties to the program. So really good stuff. I'm glad we had her on. I wanted to do it. A lot of people have had, we've heard from Katrina a lot. I wanted, and also selfishly, I wanted to have her on to kind of, give the women's program a little bit of run. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. I know Phyllis has been a big women's basketball supporter, and Chelsea loves to follow it as well. So I thought it was good. We branched out, Dave. We've got baseball now. We're a golf podcast. We're gonna hit everybody eventually. So I guess let's get to some football editions, some football action in the on the recruiting front, and then we can touch a little bit. Not a lot. It's so weird cover. We'll get to the portal and what it's like trying to cover this. But I think two pretty key defensive line additions for this recruiting class. Two guys that look really good on film and look to be pieces that Walt Stewart's really going to be able to work with as this team gets into the Big 12, as they add in the past couple days. Garrison Butler and Josiah Knight. Your thoughts on those additions?
Yeah. And Josiah Knight is, you look at him and yeah, you got me?
Yeah. You're here.
Can you hear me? All right. So
yeah, I can hear you.
Josiah Knight, I mean, you look at his his measurables jump off right away, pushing 6'4", 230 as a high school junior. I mean, that's right in that range that you want from a prototypical edge guy. Obviously you're going to try to get his weight up a little bit more, add some strength, and you don't know what these guys are going to turn into. Again, they're only just finishing their junior year of high school, but
right.
He shows some pretty dynamic, at least straight line speed for a guy his size. I mean, I know you guys touched on it the other night on just a quick, played a little bit of tight end too, quick pass and ran away from the defense for an 80-yard touchdown. So obviously that's there. I mean, you want to also see the explosion and the quick twitch elements and the change of direction stuff is super important if you're going to be kind of rushing the passer. But, a guy that has, several, relatively similar offers to UC. I mean, you want to call them Power 5, whatever. Same type of schools that they're competing with. And I think that they've, again, we'll see what he develops into, but we've talked about it for the last couple of years, is that they just have not had that type of the Myjai Sanders-ish defensive end, outside, whatever, rush player the last couple seasons. So hopefully, he could be someone in that role. And then Garrison Butler, I think Iowa State really wanted him. He's from the Bowl School in Jacksonville, which is a really, really good program. He's going to be your prototype nose tackle more than likely. We list him at 6'1", 270. Feels like you can pack on some more, get him around 300. He shows good strength. He's a pretty good shot putter. Participates in all the throwing events in track. I asked my buddy who threw shot and coaches high school football, like, is 54 feet 10 inches good? And he's like, yeah, that's pretty good. So he did that earlier this spring down in Florida. Shows good power. Shows a decent get off. But defensive linemen, the program in the last several years has had a lot of very, very solid college defensive linemen, and that needs to continue. Like, we can talk about, and the same thing. It's so cliche, and Coach Fickle used it ad nauseum, building the roster through the trenches. But like, if you can't block anybody and you can't stop anybody from running the ball, it doesn't really matter what the rest of your team looks like. You're not going to win.
Right.
So, those two guys, I think, are really strong additions to a class that is now 10 deep, 20th in the country. Again, that's a relative term, because you're comparing classes that have 10 to classes that have 2 or 3. So,
sure,
we'll get back into that more in December. But I think they are off to a very, very strong start. You have you've hit 5 states so far. And I think the point I'm interested in getting your take on. I think I know where this is going to go, but you have 2 from Ohio, 4 from Georgia, 2 from Florida, and then 1 from Maryland and 1 from South Carolina. There's always going to be this reservation of, are we recruiting Ohio enough, and are we have to build our team through Ohio and through the 300-mile radius thing, and I 100% agree with that. I don't think a school like UC in a place like Ohio, where there is a higher level of talent comparatively speaking to the rest of the country, can be super successful if they don't
you can't ignore it.
Have a large portion of their talent from the state. That said, you have a new staff coming in, and what do we always talk about? Relationships. Well, you have a new staff coming in, and we know that it takes years at times. I mean, they offered a 2026 kid from Bowles yesterday.
Yeah.
So they've started a relationship with a guy that is not going to step foot on any college campus for 3 more years. So at Louisville, they didn't recruit Ohio a ton.
They did. They just didn't have any traction.
Well, right, but so you're not going to spend a ton of time in place that you're not getting traction. You're going to go where you can get players. That's my point.
Right.
The relationships are there, but they need to be built much further, because, like, who do you think has a better relationship with a kid from Cleveland? One of our guys or a Michigan State coach? In the 2024 class, because they've been recruiting that kid for years. Like, this class is going to be built by guys that this staff has that pre-existing relationship with, that they were recruiting to Louisville, and now they're going to say, hey, we thought you were good enough to play at Louisville. You're still good enough to play for us here. Next year, and maybe not even so much next year, maybe more into even 2026, is when I'll be, if you're still not getting very many Ohio kids, then to me that's the problem, because you'll have had multiple cycles, multiple years to build up those relationships with those players who you started recruiting when they were freshmen and sophomores, and now they're juniors and seniors, and you want them to come play for you. So will there be more Ohio kids? Probably, but I'm not going to be surprised if it's a more of a heavier focus in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and then also Ohio. And the other fact of the matter is, like, the Ohio class is not that good this year. Like,
it's not. And at the top, it's already being vultured by
Ohio State
Ohio
and
State, Michigan. Yeah. So, and also, and you pointed this out a lot to me, like Garrison Brooks was what? The 99th player in Florida. He would be a top 25, 30 type guy in Ohio.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I agree. I want to, and I know I'm the one that brought that up, but I do want to push back a little bit because in the transfer portal era, I think it's inherently easier to keep kids close to stay versus.
I agree. I don't disagree with that at all.
So, like, I don't want to disparage the Ohio kids, and every time they get a kid from another state, be like, well, this guy's better than all these other, like.
No. I'm not saying better. I'm saying commiserate to, like, you're getting a kid that is top 30 level talent in Ohio. I don't want people to think like, oh, well, we're getting top 25 kids in Ohio, but we're only getting top 100 kids in Florida. Like, they are similar in talent is kind of what I'm like. Sure. I don't want people to look at that and think like, yeah, we're going to Florida, but we're getting like the 99th rated guy in Florida. Yeah, well, it's pretty similar to what they're getting in Ohio when you get a kid that's in the 70s or 90s or whatever in Florida.
Right.
That's all I was getting at with that.
Oh, I agree. But it just goes like, I don't want people to think that like I don't. But when we say that we're like saying, well, don't worry about the Ohio kids because these kids
still have to worry about the Ohio kids. Yeah. I'm not saying that wasn't the point I was making at all.
And I don't think that they're not recruiting them. I mean, the class in the state has been has a lot of commitments already, which I think is a little out of the ordinary. I don't remember. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but it feels like in the top 20, there's way more guys committed already than in the past. And if Michigan is going to play in Ohio now, it's just going to make it that much harder. Like, they totally neglected the state for a very long time.
Almost the entire Luke Fickell era, Michigan just didn't recruit Ohio.
And now that they have won the Big Ten 2 years in a row, they've been to the playoff 2 years in a row. If they're going to come into the state and actually, try to make an impact, it's going to make things harder. I mean, they've got Jordan Marshall. They're the supposed leader for the number 4 player. They've got the number 11, 14, 15. Like, it's just going to make things that much harder. And not that it's not doable, but I mean, they're a blue blood for their history, and now they're a recent back-to-back playoff team. Like,
right.
Anybody that they recruit up against is going to be difficult.
Right.
So there's not a ton of for this class specifically, there's not a ton of top 25, top 30, what I would call local guys, even stretching out to like the Dayton area. So it's different every year. I think they'll prioritize it. They are prioritizing it, but it is all about the relationships. It's about building that trust with the recruit, and it's just hard. It's hard to do when you've really been pushing for them for 4 months, and somebody else has had consistent communication with them going on 2 years. Like, it's just. Anybody, it's about relationships. Who do you trust? Who do you know? Who do you feel comfortable with? You're going to feel more comfortable with someone that you've, built a much, much longer relationship with.
Matt wants to know, we have a very good staff. Does it hurt that they don't have another coach with Ohio ties? I mean,
we'll see. I wish that they would have had one more.
But guess what? In college football, your staff is probably going to be 40-50% different next year anyway.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is you're gonna hire your first staff. You're gonna hire the guys that you feel most comfortable with, that know your stuff the best, because you need to hit the ground running. You need to teach the fewest amount of people how you want the thing done. Because, if November comes around, and we'll just be hypothetically speaking, of course, but if November rolls around and they've won 3 games and they had 6 Ohio guys with Ohio ties on the staff, would anybody have given a rep at that point? If, someone could go, if you said, yeah, but they got 6 guys with Ohio ties on it, you'd get your head chopped off and be like, well, yeah, that's not helping them because they can't coach. They've won 3 games.
Right.
So
you go out initially and you fill your staff with what you think is best for the immediate future of the program. Like, you're not hiring when you hire your staff thinking, well, in 3 years, having this guy's really going to pay dividends. Like, that's
your ass be fired in 3 years.
Right. So you do what you can immediately. And then if you feel like going forward, when somebody moves on or you don't renew a contract or whatever the case may be, if you feel like you need more Ohio on your staff, then you address it from that point. I don't think it's something you can worry about day one.
No,
I just don't.
They'll know soon enough.
Right.
Either they're not getting, you're getting tuned out. You're not getting the traction that you had hoped for. You don't have the right person with the right relationships in a certain part of the state, the right high schools. I mean, it's a very complicated algorithm that you have to figure out the right balance of, coaching, but coaching and recruiting and guys that you feel comfortable with, and guys.
Let's be honest about something, Dave. Assistants aren't nearly the factor in recruiting as they were 3 years ago because of the development of recruiting departments. These kids are dealing with the recruiting department a lot more than they ever have. And yes, they're still interacting with their position coaches and their coordinators and the head coach or whatever. But anymore, man, like, they're dealing with the guys in the recruiting department a lot more than what it used to be. How many times
The last couple years with Lou,
Pat and Max,
Coach Pat and Coach Max.
Yeah.
Guys didn't coach weren't allowed legally in the NCAA to coach 1 second of actual football.
But those are the guys that they're talking to every day.
Right.
So,
and yes, you obviously have to have a good relationship and you want to play for your position coach. I think it's evident, like this week, how instrumental Walt is in recruiting.
Yeah. The point I'm making is just, it's not what it used to like.
No,
It used to be that was your lead recruiter was the person you talked to all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And now you're talking to the recruiting guys a lot more than anybody else, and then your position coach, and then your coordinator, and then your head. It's just a change in the dynamic that's happening with college football right now.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
The only other football thing I want to get to, I've talked about this a lot. I'm interested in your take on this. The over-under is coming out for the Big 12 teams. Cincinnati's over-under set at 4.5. I've heard some people say they're putting the mortgage on the over. I've been a little cautious just when you look at the number of coin flip games that there's going to be on that schedule. I'm not comfortable I'm not comfortable gambling to begin with. I don't do much of it, But I'm not comfortable saying I look at that schedule and go, yeah, I see 6, 7, 8 wins for sure. Not that I don't think they're going to win 6, 7 games, but I don't see like, okay, here's 6 wins.
Well, one, I would bet the over because who the hell wants to bet an under? That's no fun at all.
Fair.
On win totals. Two, I would bet the over because I don't want to ever be in a position to hope that my team loses more games.
Fair.
Just so I can win some money.
Or you could, but my point being, I would just not bet. I wouldn't bet the under. I would just not bet.
Taking those two things out of the equation, like personally, I would bet the over because I know there's a ton of coin flip games. I have a hard time seeing this defense with the schedule that they're playing.
Yeah.
Like not being good enough to give them a chance to win 5 games. Because I think Texas, Oklahoma, TCU obviously is replacing a lot, but still has a good roster, still coming off of the national championship game. And Kansas State, I would say, are arguably the 4 best teams in the conference for next year. And I would even throw Texas Tech maybe in there with them. So let's call them those 5.
Okay.
We play one of them. We got an incredibly generous
beneficial
first
said this,
year
Dave.
Schedule.
If you task the two of us at some point, you said, Chad and Dave, make up the most favorable Big 12 schedule, the most favorable 9-game slate, home and away, that you could make up for Cincinnati, it would have looked almost exactly like this, right?
Right. I mean,
exactly like this.
You have a collection of teams, home and road, that I do not think, outside of maybe Oklahoma, are significantly better than UC. Right. Where I'm just going into the game going, even if we play our absolute best, I'm not sure, we can win. Which is indicative of, I retweeted the K Ford thing the other day. There's like 6 games that they had the spreads between +1.5 and -2.5.
Right.
So that
yeah.
So because of that, because of having 7 home games, because of not having to play. Again, this is May. We have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea who's going to be hurt. We have no idea which transfers are going to be great, which transfers are going to stink. But on May 10th, the schedule, I'm like we said, I'm not sure we could have asked for a better schedule.
Right.
That would be that we could realistically get. So
I agree.
I mean, I would say over 4.5, but again, we have a lot of unanswered questions. What is Emory Jones? What is the offensive line? Who the hell is catching passes? Can the defense replicate what they've done, but then also crank it up when it comes to pressuring the quarterback? Can they get the turnovers that they have not gotten the last few years and that Louisville did get, but turnovers are not indicative. You're not, replace, whatever the word is I'm looking for. Like,
yeah,
you're not going to just be like, oh, well, we got a bunch of turnovers last year, so we're going to do it again this year. Like, that's not how it works. Like, there are a lot of questions to be had, which is part of the reason I think the over-under is 4.5. But I would lean towards the over just because it's hard for me to see, where the 8 losses come from, assuming things don't go off the rails like one of the Bradys has to start half the season or something,
right.
or we're
major,
or we lose both offensive tackles at higher ground, something like that.
Right. No, I feel you. I agree to a point, and I've made similar points that the schedule is as favorable as you could possibly ask for, but you still got to go out and win them. And
absolutely, and it's favorable, but like we're still taking a jump up. So
Right.
even though we say that it's favorable, we still have a new staff. We're still replacing a ton of players. Like that might be favorable, and it still might not be. The gap still might be too wide the first year for the favorability of it to actually matter.
Right. Right. And it can't just be defense. Not in that league.
No,
Not
I mean,
in that
that's
league.
on average, it was the highest scoring league in the country last year. I think right around 30, 31 points, which you see has not hit in, I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but
I thought they hit it in the playoff year. They were over 30. But
probably, but definitely not last year.
no. They were tracking that way early, and then it did not continue in that direction.
So, yeah, I mean, you're not going to win. It's, the defense is going to have to be outstanding if you think you're going to win, like, very many games, averaging 24, 25 points a game.
24, 21 games just aren't the norm in the Big 12. Like, it's just not how that league operates. So, yeah. Anything else football related you want to get to? You want to touch on the Amazon's out on the Pac-12 now, apparently?
Portal, baby.
Oh, Portal. Yeah, let's do Portal. Let's do Portal. Here's where the portal is tough for us. We are in a period now, especially the spring portal, where nobody wants anyone to know anything about what they're doing.
No.
It is fucking insane what is happening right now in the portal.
Oh, that's what happens when Colorado has added like 60 guys and still has 13 spots left.
Right? I mean, it's chaos. Like, I know people roll their eyes when we joke and say it's the wild, wild west or whatever the case may be. But, like, the reality is, man, there's a lot that coaches and the recruiting departments are dealing with when it comes to navigating. You think you got a guy, and all that does is let somebody else know, what the competition looks like.
Right.
Like it's difficult.
Yeah,
I do think they've got a lot of irons in the fire.
For sure. And there is just such a stark difference between the December, January period and now. And, I don't mean to say this is like in a bad way, but like if you're in the portal now, or it's.
Uh-oh. Tiger's worried about you, Dave.
I'm here.
Okay.
You got me?
I got you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you.
Go ahead.
You have in the winter, you got coaching changes. You have many more factors that go into, I think, why someone might go into the portal.
Yeah, for sure. Oh boy, this is bad.
I'm kind of. Are you not hearing me?
You're just choppy.
Oh well, it's not my VPN.
As soon as you start to make a point, then you freeze, and by the time you come back, like we've missed the point that you were.
Oh well. Well, I'll just say it's a little tougher this time because everybody's still looking for guys, and so I don't think the talent level of the aggregate.
Oh boy.
Wi-Fi tonight.
You good?
No, apparently not, because the Wi-Fi apparently sucks.
Doesn't your computer do like a maintenance or something at 9
No,
every night?
It doesn't. This is not a VPN issue.
All right. I was
No,
going to say, why don't you schedule that for a different time or something?
Now anymore, anytime I'm away from my computer for like 3 minutes, I have to redo the VPN. So this is not that. This is a crappy Wi-Fi situation.
All right.
Let's just damn move on. You say what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean it's so weird seeing how much of a like a buyer's market it is, because these kids, you know, they're trying to go about the normal process of, like, you know, transferring, and then you find somewhere and you commit, and then all of a sudden everybody else goes, oh wait, well, that guy's good enough for Cincinnati. Did we miss something? Should we have talked to him? Should we have put him on our radar for our transfer portal list? And then you have to start all over again. And then now the price of poker is set. Now they know, like, okay, well, this is, you know, what Cincinnati's got on the table for their NIL, for their guys coming in. Can we beat that? Like, is this, you're dealing with
there's a lot of playing one against another.
Yeah, like, okay, do we have a greater need at linebacker than Cincinnati does? Who has, you know, Dorian Jones and you know, guys that are already, like, slated to be at the top of the roster at linebacker. Well, we lost our 3 linebackers to the NFL, or we have playing time at this particular spot that they're recruiting available that they don't have. And, like, it's just very strange trying to cover it, because you'll think, like, we're tracking something, okay, like, we think it's these 2 schools, the kid visits the 2 schools, and then it feels like, okay, it's going in this direction or that direction, and all of a sudden here comes 2 new outsiders that, you know, are maybe in a better NIL situation, or maybe in a better playing time situation and a similar NIL situation. And then all of a sudden you've done 2 weeks of work. You've gotten to where you think you're about at a point that a decision is going to be made. And then you're back at the start of the process again.
Right.
Like, it has to be maddening for the people that are doing this for a living.
And I see, like, and I'm not going to call the teams desperate. I mean, we know UC's roster situation. Like, they need some dudes at some different positions. But, like, you know, they added a Division II guy. They had a guy that I think they thought was likely to come that was a FCS guy that then went to Colorado.
Yeah.
Like, they offered a what I would guess is a very good Division II linebacker who went to Oklahoma. Now, I'm sure he's good, because if he wasn't Oklahoma, but, like, 3 years ago, if you'd have told me Division II players were transferring to Oklahoma, I'd be like, to do what?
Right?
So, like, it's just a totally different dynamic of, like, where players are coming from, who's interested in them, like, how bad they seem to want. Like, I mean, I'm sure the kid's not going there to not play. You know, he was one of the best defensive players in Division II last year, so he could have gone to a lot of places and played, but, like, that just didn't happen before.
Right.
So it just makes the whole, like, you know, we think we have a pretty good idea of some guys that they're targeting, but, like, I'm not going to say anything.
You can't. You look foolish.
You know, guys take visits, guys, you know, some, like you said, you don't want to put out there that you're necessarily taking a guy until it's, like, as done of a deal as it could possibly be, because, and I'm just using them as the example because it's wild right now, but, like, 13 spots means that you can pretty much grab whoever you want. Yeah. Like, you're not really beholden to certain positions. If you've taken like 40 something transfers and can still take 13 more, like you're just trying to amass the most amount of overall talent as you can possibly get.
So if you see somebody make a move on a guy and then you put the tape on and you're like, that guy might be able to help us.
Yeah, you can then go to him and be like, hey, we got 5 defensive backs on the roster right now.
Corners and safeties combined.
Yeah. You might be totally full of shit that you think this guy's ever going to play. But, hey, we got him away from UC because he was good enough for them. So our roster is way worse than theirs, so he must be good enough for us.
Right. It's almost like I know people are like, this has turned me off on college sports. It's turned me off on covering the transfer portal because you do all this work and you get things lined up and you get everything ready and and then all of a sudden, like everything that you had talked to your contacts about and you had done research on and you had a good feeling for like, okay, we think this is down to UC in this school and this is down to UC in this school. And then 4 days later, nothing is the same.
Do you think,
no matter how late you are in the process, it's wild.
It's at some point, I know we've bemoaned the NCAA's, inactivity in this whole process, but like at some point, do you think the collective coaches just will say like enough is enough? Like this is all ridiculous.
No, because I think they're still gonna all look at it and say, this is our opportunity to like, if I need this, I can go get it. If I need this,
but you can only truly do that your first year.
No, you can still run whoever you want off to create as much. We how many the number?
No, but you won't be able to do it to the extent that.
No, but
like
you're still going to always
that you're allowed to in your first year.
Yeah, you're still going to always be able to do it.
I guess APR scores aren't going to really matter anymore, are they?
I don't know how they would even.
Because it's supposed to hurt you when you have guys leave.
Yeah, I don't know how they like.
So if Colorado had 60 guys leave, how are they going to have like?
Yeah. All right, let's get to something I know everybody's wondering about, Dave.
Is that the Bearcat of the week?
What is that? What is that has showed up here in my office during the BCJ podcast? Well, if you're curious, that is Team Ticker. Team Ticker is the one-of-a-kind sports sign for Bearcat fans. Its high-tech retro display provides daily updates of the latest news, stats, schedules, betting odds, and much more. No subscription required. If you're looking for the perfect addition to your man cave or a gift for that special Bearcats fan, go to teamticker.com. Pick up your Team Ticker today. It's a local company started by 2 UC alumni. It's easy to hang. Like I and Aaron can attest to this. That thing went up in maybe 10 minutes. Just had to measure and make sure you got the little hooks right as you put it on the wall. Maybe 10 minutes.
Maybe 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying and maybe 2 minutes to get it connected to the network and downloaded and you've got the stuff scrolling on your Team Ticker right away.
I think it took a grand total of like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things when you're like, ugh, I'm gonna have to carve out 20, 30 minutes to get this thing on my wall. No, it was easy peasy. So
Lemon
the design
squeezy.
is easy. It's great. The LED backlight has it so it stands out in your man cave. It's got an Apple and Android mobile app for registration and free daily updates of the latest news, stats, schedules, betting odds, and more. They are officially licensed through the Collegiate Licensing Company. They are manufactured here in Ohio. Like I said, it is 2 UC alumni that are running this thing. We just have to get power to Dave's wall there behind him so he can get his.
What's one of these bad boys run retail?
I believe $299. I I didn't pay for mine, so
We should know that to tell
we should.
people. Like,
Hold on.
$2.99.
Okay, $2.99. I thought I was right on that, but I didn't want to misspeak. $2.99, and it does. Like, if you've got a Bearcats man cave, how could you not want that?
no, it's perfect. Put it behind your bar.
Yeah. It's a great piece of memorabilia, I guess is the right word to use, and I love it. I think it looks great.
What is do they have a website set up? What is the website?
TeamTicker.com.
I need to see if they have any
Pretty
Tennessee ones to send to my buddies.
Right now, it's just Bearcats, but they are working on.
Oh, just Bearcats. Okay.
Right now, so UC is kind of the test market to see if this thing takes off. So they are working on becoming kind of a national thing with team tickers and designs all around the country. But right now, you can get on the ground floor and get the Bearcat, and nobody else has anything like it.
Yeah, you can be like, hey, people will come to your house, like, where'd you get that? Like, well, if you're a UC fan, you're in luck.
Right.
If not, go fly a kite.
So they are now a sponsor of this podcast, and they are we are introducing a new segment, Dave. The new segment is Bearcat of the Week. Phyllis says $2.49 right now for the team ticker, so maybe it's on sale.
Who do we get any good nominations?
We really only got one nomination.
One nomination. Well, I guess that's the winner.
No. We got a bunch of people. Phyllis, I'm seeing $2.49 on TeamTicker.com. So
that's what she
$2.99.
Oh,
$2.99 on TeamTicker.com. But it is on sale as a graduation gift discount. So there you go. Graduation gift. Good plan right there for your Bearcat graduate. Get them their own team ticker. You get $50 off when you check out. So there you go. Thank you, Phyllis. We appreciate you. Micah Adams Woods. He was nominated like 10 times. With 10 people sent in nominations, everybody wanted us to honor Micah Adams Woods and his 4 years as a Cincinnati Bearcat as Bearcat of the Week in our official. We had a Bearcat of the Week last week, and it was Doug Martin and the golf team. That was unofficial. We hadn't started the process yet. But now officially, since we only had one nomination, what I'm going to do is on every Wednesday or every day that we're doing this show, you can nominate Pickle if you want as Bearcat of the Week.
Pickle's being feisty right now. He's wanting to play.
I'm going to put on Twitter, send me your nominations. And then I will take your nominations. Dave and I will discuss the nominations live on air, courtesy of Team Ticker. And then you get to decide on who is your Bearcat of the Week. But everybody wanted Micah Adams Woods as this week's Bearcat of the Week. So congratulations to Micah.
Sure.
And I guess that kind of takes us to, our next thing, right? Which is Micah Adams Woods has transferred from the universe, has entered the transfer portal.
Not exactly the direction I thought this was heading.
Where did you think it was going?
Well, I mean, I didn't think someone that just decided to transfer would get nominated for Bearcat of the Week. So
I think it was a respect thing. Like, it's Micah was very much an important part of this program for a long time. And it was more of a thank you for him as Bearcat of the Week, if that makes sense.
Not Hottie Toddy of the Week?
That's the crazy part about this anymore. There we go. We got the Team Ticker logo up there too. We got that rolling for the Aaron's got to work on the scroll for the Team Ticker Bearcat of the Week segment too. What did I pay this guy for? I had to do the thing. Like, geez.
Maybe let me know in the pre-show instead of talking about your nickname with a 6-year-old you knew.
I sent you the email with the Team Ticker logos. I forwarded that to you, and you knew this was coming. You've got the Team Ticker on your damn wall.
This is what pre-shows are for. 50,740 unread emails on my phone.
You're
That's a you problem. That's not a me problem. That's a you problem.
You're throwing pre-show around pretty loosely there. This is not the BBP.
I think it's, to appreciate a guy that gave 4 years to the program. And in this day and age, if a guy played 4 years, like that's a lot. That's a lot of years in college basketball these days.
At the same school.
Yeah, 4 years at the same school. I think he's okay. He's qualified for a Bearcat of the Week.
Sure.
What and Aaron and I discussed this last night on the nightcap. Was I surprised? Yeah, I was a little surprised when this came out. But look, like, teams are going to do, like, you have given people the opportunity to make this crazy. And the portal closes tomorrow. There are names going in today. It is becoming very clear what the end of the portal is about. That is, one, seeing if you can entice someone into the transfer portal at the end of the cycle because you messed up for 5 weeks or whatever the portal's been open for and didn't get the guys you wanted.
Right.
It's wild. Like, it's just wild.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee had a guy enter today. Pretty unexpected. Sounds like he was rumored to possibly be entering for the last couple of weeks. Creighton had a guy jump in today. They're both kind of in that, like, fringe. I think both in the fringe NBA thing. So they're playing it as, going through that process, exploring their options. But, like, if you're Creighton or Tennessee, or in this case UC, like, and those guys end up not wanting to, or not getting good feedback or whatever, they're not, like, you think Rick Barnes is going to take this dude back? You think Doug McDermott's going to be like, oh yeah, come on back, you left 24 hours before the portal closed, and yeah, I'll bring you back. I mean, maybe they will, maybe I'm 100% wrong, but without knowing those situations too well, it just feels like at this point in time, that's going to be a hard sell. Chad, are you there?
Yes.
Yes.
Hard sell.
Hard sell. So,
sorry, puppy was howling to the point I had to go figure out what was going on upstairs. Making sure my daughter didn't kill the puppy. She apparently had locked him out of her room because she was changing.
Oh.
And the puppy acted like, somebody had shot it.
Well, glad everything's okay.
Everything's okay, but single dad with a puppy, the podcast thing it's going to be a lot more challenging.
As you just said to Aaron, that's on you.
I know. I'm aware. I'm fully aware.
Quite an aggressive move, all things considered. that you thought adding a baby animal to the mix right now was going to be a good idea.
Well, I mean, again, we needed some life in this house. Things have been pretty sad lately. We needed something not as sad. So, yeah, instead we got a puppy that's part husky, and huskies communicate by howling whenever they are unhappy with whatever. So, yeah. More power to Micah. I do think it makes the front end of the 2023-24 season a little more difficult because you don't have that safety net that you're hoping to use with Davion Thomas and Jizzle James adjusting to high major Division I basketball. But if things go as planned, I also think it gives you the opportunity to be better later in the season because you're not going to have that safety net that you're going to put out there for 15, 20 minutes a game that's going to shield those two from getting better and taking their lumps and going through the hardships and being able to grow. And now, I mean, unless something changes, like I don't know if you're going to be able to go out and find another like capable guard willing to come into a situation where there's a good chance they're going to be the third point guard,
right?
And like the second or third combo guard, like that or two. Like, hey, maybe you find somebody that played at the low major level or the mid major level that you say we want you to come in and kind of be a support player in the Big 12, and they say yes. But we'll see.
Right. But is that going to make you appreciably better? Like, we had this conversation, at the end of the season, and I was very much in the rip the Band-Aid off, put these guys in, feet to the fire. We were talking earlier today, and I equated it on some level to like the drafting the rookie quarterback and just playing right away. Like, are you going to take your lumps? More than likely. But are you, when it's nut cutting time in February and we're hopefully trying to make the tournament, all that stuff in November and December should hopefully put you in a position to be able to handle yourself capably in high leverage situations. And that's what we want these guys to be able to do. Well, if you play it super conservative and for the first 2 months of the season, don't put them in high level situations against quality opponents. How are they going to get better? And how are you going to know if they can handle it or not?
Right.
So, I mean, this is a very off basketball reference, but like the Bengals not starting Carson Palmer his rookie year absolutely kept them from making the playoffs his second year. And so I look at this and I'm like, play those guys now, get them ready for Big 12 basketball in the preseason schedule, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And maybe it doesn't manifest itself to super success this year, but they will certainly be ready to hit the floor running the next year, where if you did something with Micah and you still had him as your top 8 player and he's still getting 15-ish to 20-ish minutes a game, like somebody else is getting the rest of those minutes, but both those guys aren't. Both Day and Jizzle aren't. Somebody is getting very few minutes. And I was on that side before. I would rather deal with whatever headaches may be early with two guys that have not played the position on the high major college level.
Right.
Because if you think they're as good as you, like, that was my point. Like, if Wes thinks they're as good as he thinks they are, he wouldn't have brought them here. Then why are you going to handicap them and not just put them out there and see what happens and let them grow?
Right. Which is fair. Which is very fair. Like, are they ready or are,
They're not ready.
Are they ready? Probably not.
You're not going to find out if they are until you actually like put them in the damn game.
Yeah.
Against teams that are better than,
And look, my default setting is probably to have a net. Like, just being around this as long as I've been around it, coaches have probably brainwashed me over the years in discussing all of this stuff, as it happens. I probably am a little bit more less risk averse than you.
Well, so are they. I mean, they're conservative by nature.
Right.
If I said, do you want to do this? No, of course not. But is it probably better for the end of this season and certainly better for next season? Yes.
The question now becomes, how big is the learning curve? Because what
is the variance between awful situation and adequate situation?
Right. So if it takes, let's say it takes 5 weeks for those two guys to really start finding a rhythm and becoming a really good 1-2 punch at point guard. That means by Christmas, right before Christmas,
The start
they're
of Big
starting
12
to gain
play.
their confidence, and you're getting into Big 12 play, and now you've got two guys. Now, are they going to go against Big 12 point guards and probably struggle because a lot of them are veterans? I mean, hell, I don't even know what the Big 12 looks like right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
I know every transfer has like 4 Big 12 schools on their list.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I look at is not being in the AAC anymore.
Yeah.
While they're cutting their teeth, as long as they don't have like several inexplicable losses, they're not going to torpedo their chances of making a tournament in the non-conference. So you get them ready in that situation to then go into the Big 12. And we saw last year, and every year is not the same, but you go into the Big 12 and you go 500, they're making the tournament outside of having several terrible losses in the non-conference.
Right.
So this isn't a 1-for-1 situation of like, well, you can't do this in the American, which I would agree, because in the American you couldn't afford to drop a bunch of non-conference games while guys figured it out, because you weren't going to get the chance to get those wins in league.
But guess what, Dave? Even with Micah, November was probably going to be rough to begin with. You're incorporating CJ, you're incorporating Seamus, you're incorporating Jamel Reynolds, your Aziz Bandago is still in play. Like, we're still waiting on an update of like where he's going to visit.
You could theoretically, I mean, I guess Dan and Vic, but like you could theoretically have 4 new starters next year.
You could theoretically, Dan, Vic, you could have 6 of your top 8 be new.
Right. So even more of
a and Jizzle and the transfers.
Even more of a reason, in my opinion, to just go ahead and move forward with these two guys.
Yeah. It's having the safety net is nice, but you know,
how many wins is the safety net going to give you?
It might save you 1 or 2 games in November, December.
Does it cost you 1 or 2 games in February? Because you've got the other guys that you want in the game, in the high leverage situation, have not been in it yet.
Right. Tonk, this is actually not the one you got me. I have a couple of these that this one was authentic. I think this is the one. This one is authentic from the 90s.
Donald Little torture used.
There's a number in the tag on the back of this that I don't know who it belongs to, because I don't know what year specifically.
Instead of game used. Yeah.
Well, they're shooting shirts. This is. Can you believe this is what shooting shirts used to look like?
Oh, they're like 20 pounds.
Yeah. Like this is what guys used to get shots in warm-ups. Like, you would wear this at the gym lifting weights to try to like bulk up. I had a friend that was a manager in the 90s that was like, "Hey, I've got a giant garbage bag of just stuff that I have from back in those days. Do you want it?" Yes.
Yeah, I used to have some like Jordan brand like team issued sweatpants and sweatshirts. And the sweatpants were like the greatest pair of sweatpants I ever had. But I also had to cut like this much off the bottom to actually be able to wear them, because obviously no one on the team is 5'7".
One of the pairs I got warm, like the breakaways with the buttons down the side. I got a pair of those, but they were 3X. And they literally came up to my neck. Like, literally came up to my neck. So,
yeah.
Do I think CJ will get some of those minutes Micah would have had? CJ Frederick?
Or CJ Anthony?
CJ Frederick, potentially. I have I found this as we were going through Kelly's stuff. I actually have a reversible practice jersey from that era, like the mesh.
Oh yeah,
Like they look like pennies, kind
yeah,
of.
red and black. Yeah, you just flip them.
I have a mesh. No, it's white. It's white on. I think it's red, black and white.
Oh, that's gross. The white would be like because our high school colors were like blue and white. So I remember if you didn't do your laundry for a while, like the white part of your practice jersey was just nasty.
Yeah. No, it was white on the one side. CJ Anthony. Look, I love CJ Anthony.
He better not be getting any of those minutes. I say that in the nicest way possible. That means something's gone terribly wrong.
If he's getting legitimate point guard minutes in the Big 12, Tiger's trying to figure out the team ticker, but
reach up there and rip it down in a second.
No, I don't think CJ Anthony will get some of those minutes Michael would have had. And if he does, you think getting Dave to pay attention is hard? Like when UC played in the AAC? Imagine Dave, me trying to keep him engaged in this podcast while CJ Anthony is playing 15 minutes a game in the Big 12.
If that's the case, I think we're looking like first year Big East scores.
Hopefully an early draft pick at that point. Hopefully an early draft pick at that point.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What's the matter?
Nothing, just trying to keep these two from killing each other.
Well,
my child has not figured out that can you at least take care of them while daddy is working? No. The answer has been a resounding no.
Clearly.
Clear no.
Tell her dinner Friday night depends on it.
Okay. Well, it's that she's already up in her room with the door closed, and the puppy is at my feet, and the big dog is Tiger's right next to me. So no, she has given up on taking care of these dogs until 10 o'clock, which is what I've asked her to do, because they are an inconvenience to her. So, it's all good. Where are you going? Did you want to get to the sports biz media podcast today that mentioned Amazon is not going to be a factor in the Pac-12 negotiation?
Yeah.
How many have we crossed off everyone at this point?
I'm kind of, conference realignment expert Dan Simon has not gone to this level yet, but I'm kind of out on this whole song and dance now. I have conference realignment Pac-12 media rights fatigue. I'm just basically sending direct messages to my guy, Cat's Claw, and just being just tell me what I need to know right now, because I can't do it anymore. It's freaking the middle of May. They still don't have a deal. Now they're talking about, well, maybe sometime this summer. Whatever. Just, I've had enough. Amazon is out. I never really know if Amazon was truly in, because Amazon they've shown no interest in any of their sports properties that they have been on or have. They've never shown any interest in wanting.
Well, but I guess my point is just being at one time, Amazon was gonna be the whole thing. Now Amazon's out. Well, ESPN's out. Fox is out.
Because the league doesn't want Amazon to be the whole thing. They're trying to.
Fair.
Right, and I don't blame them. But Amazon does not want to do that. They want all of it or none of it. They don't want a game. Right. And ESPN and Fox are not out because they're willing to buy it for pennies on the dollar.
They're not out, but they're also not in.
Nobody's in, or they'd have a damn deal right now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. As a partner, as a genuine, we are family.
Yes, thank you, Sister Sledge.
That just popped in my head when I said we are. But nobody wants to marry the Pac-12. Nobody even wants to date the Pac-12 at this point.
No,
And if they do date them, it's going to be like a Tinder hookup.
no, here's the thing. No one clearly feels like they have to have it.
Right.
So if you don't feel like you have to have it, why are you going to give what the Big 12 is asking for, what you view as full price?
Right.
So yes, I'm sure ESPN would gladly take some package of games.
ESPN would gladly take 10:30 on Saturday night.
Yeah,
for
give us one 10:30 game every Saturday night, and we'll give you $4 million.
Right.
And the Pac-12 is saying, well, no, we want this. And the ESPN's going, okay, well, great. Congratulations. I also want to go on a date. I want to go on a date with Rihanna tomorrow night.
We'll take Saturday night, 10:30. Each team that plays in the game gets $1 million. And that's it. That's it. We're not giving anybody else any more money. GMAC, thanks as always, $9.99.
Thank you, GMAC.
Is there any advantage if the Pac-12 falls apart? I keep thinking if the Pac falls apart, it will benefit UC, but it doesn't increase our revenue if we add Pac programs.
No, it doesn't increase the revenue, but if you add Pac-12 programs, it will keep it the same. You won't have to split it. You're not splitting the pie more, so you're not losing money. And it would help them in, one, the conference would literally go away. And two, it would help in the next round of negotiations. Because there would be one less quote unquote mouth to feed from a content and programming standpoint. So you'd have more teams. Who knows what
inventory is still the major factor in television.
Who knows what those teams that you add become? Could they does Arizona win? We'll just use Arizona. Does Arizona win a basketball national championship? Whether it's with Dion or not, does Colorado actually become at least relevant in the college football landscape again? We're talking
the Florida State job.
We're talking 7-10 years down the road. But yes, on some level, them going away would help. I don't know exactly what that means right now because we don't know what happens with the ACC. We don't know what happens with the other Pac-12. Who the hell knows? It's an impossible thing to try to handicap at this point. But I'm just I'm just kind of over and done with the whole this media partner is now out, this one is not out, the whole Twitter back and forth between different reporters, is the Pac-12 gonna fall apart, what is the Big Ten, all of the details of it I just don't care about anymore. I'm basically a Valley girl when it comes to the Pac-12 now. And the sad part about it, as someone who just loves college football, they have some really damn fun, exciting teams this year and some really damn good players. But none of that is being talked about because of all of this nonsense.
Right.
I think the Pac-12 in football this year could actually be pretty damn good as an entire conference. You've got exciting quarterbacks at multiple schools. You've got new coaches. Obviously Dion. You've got Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. You've got the Heisman Trophy winner who's going for another Heisman Trophy. You've got Michael Penix at Washington coming off an insane season, trying to back that up and be a first-round draft pick. You have Bo Nix coming back at Oregon. There's a lot of good actual football shit that should be getting discussed.
And nobody cares.
But nobody's talking about it.
Nobody cares.
So.
But Big 12 can't add Pac-12 teams without Fox ESPN's permission, right? You're caught up in semantics, Phyllis. Like
They can.
If the Big 12 came to ESPN Fox and said we're going to add Oregon State and Washington State, there probably would be a little.
Well, they're not going to. They're not going to tell them no.
They might for those two.
No,
my point being,
but they're going to say, "Well, you're certainly not getting any more money, and this probably wouldn't be the best move for you.
You should not do that
on your next TV deal." So yeah, I mean, you know, there's what's the word? There's a lot of gray area in what I think that the networks say and don't say, and what their role is in this, and a lot of, well, we might, you know, maybe you should think about this, or, you know, we might do this if we were you. But I mean, the properties that have value are quite well known. Like, nobody's like telling the Big 12 to do something that everybody in the Big 12 executive board and Brett Yormark aren't already doing. No one's coming to them and being like, "Hey, here's an idea," and then thinking, "Oh my God, we never even thought of this."
Have you guys thought about adding Arizona or Oregon and Washington?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
We can. I mean, we could. That's an option.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We should probably think of that.
Yeah. So,
GMAC says the Pac-12 was good last year. 5-6 teams in the AP top 25 most of the season. But again, here's the problem that the Pac-12 is having, GMAC. Nobody gave a shit.
Well, and they're also they're not putting anybody in the playoff consistently.
And they're not driving ratings. They're not doing numbers. They're not putting people in the stands. Like, it's just nobody cares. They've created a product that, while pretty good, nobody is interested in. It's a tough spot to be.
And they you know, they still get, like, if Oregon is involved, if Washington's involved, even if Washington State gets sneaky good ratings for what they are from a budget standpoint and like where they're located. But like, I mean,
loyal fan base. If
you take out Oklahoma and Texas and Oregon and Washington, or in USC and Oregon, UCLA, like, the Pac-12 gets better ratings technically than like the rest of the Big 12, but the fan bases are nowhere near like as fervent. The success of the conference as a whole is not anywhere near. Like, I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure the last time the Pac-12 put a team in the playoff was when John Ross played for Washington, and they lost to Alabama.
They've only put one, right?
I think it was 2017 was the only time. No, Oregon was in when Ohio State won the national championship in 2015.
So they put two.
I'm pretty sure it's been like 6 years.
They put one more team in the CFP than the AAC.
So, yeah. I mean, it's just a bad situation. You have two tentpole universities leaving. You have two other universities that I'm not sure actually care about sports, you know, in Cal and Stanford. I mean, they care about them collectively. Like, Stanford is one of the best universities as a whole for all athletics. But, you know, do they care enough about football and basketball for it to matter? Like, you just have a lot of divergent thoughts in that conference. It reminds me a lot of the old Big East. Not in the same ways, but just not everybody seems to be committed to the same way.
Right. For some of those schools, it is a pastime. For others, for very few, it matters.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, Matt's got a Bengals question for Dave. Thoughts on Bengals schedule release? What primetime games do you want, or do you not care?
I very much care, because I'm waiting to plan my entire fall. So, like, I very much need to know when these games are happening, so I know which Bengals games I might want to go to, coinciding with UC games. I'm hoping for Bills in prime time because that's at home. I would like to. I was at that game. That was a wild situation, so I would like to see it in
Kind of
completion.
got robbed of that one a little bit.
Would like to see that one in completion. I would like Arizona to be late in the year, so I have a good reason to go to Arizona.
Go to Arizona in November or whatever.
Yeah, November or December. Other than that, I don't really care. I think it was bullshit that 3 of their primetime games last year were division games, and they were all on the road. One got flexed.
That was bullshit.
One got flexed out. The Steelers game did get flexed out, but like
when the schedule came out, a year ago today, essentially, or tomorrow, they had 3 road primetime games in the division.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
So I would hope that there's a course correct there. I'm sure that Katie made her opinion known on that one. So we'll see. But in the grand scheme of it, it doesn't matter. I think they're really damn good, and you just play who you play, and that stuff is more for us fans and to plan trips around and things of that nature. But with 9 home games, they should have a very, very nice, fun slate.
Yeah.
Pickle, my God.
She's aggressive tonight.
She is. She's like acting like I don't ever see her.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks, as always, to the Holy Grail. Thanks to our newest sponsor here on the BCJ podcast, Team Ticker, teamticker.com. $50 off right now on sale. Go to teamticker.com. Get yourself one of those. It's very cool. It's a very cool addition to any sports-themed area, bar, man cave, whatever you have. It will look better with the Bearcat holding a constant stream of updates for Bearcat athletics. You want to do that. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Go to teamticker.com and get yours. And be the person that your friends come over and they're like, the hell is that? Where'd you get that?
We need to talk to them and get like a Bearcat Journal promo.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like if you promo code Bearcat BCJ or something, you get like 10% off or something.
Yeah.
I know they're trying to sell a bunch to keep the company going and get it started and everything, but it always helps to get a little promo going.
Just to have them put up when BCJ is on sale. Just have it on the ticker. 50% off.
Yeah. 50% off BearcatJournal.com. Put it in everybody's house that buys one. The problem is those people are all members.
Right.
Maybe.
We got to help their sales so they can expand to more schools and really get this thing going. Because I love it. Like I always loved when I was a kid going in the locker room and seeing the countdown clock. I always thought that was
now
fun.
You get that in your spot, whatever your spot is.
Right.
Now it's in my office, Big 12 Cincinnati. Look at that. You don't want that? You don't want the eyes popping up in your office? Come on. Thanks to Abby Jump. That was
so.
Great.
Oh, hold on. I want to.
Okay.
We need to talk about this. Maybe the second version, Team Ticker 2.0. Can you? Since it's obviously running through Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
When they score a touchdown, the eyes need to flash.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they'd have to have somebody at home base.
Well, no, if it when the app updates of it streams into ESPN.com or something.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know how that shit works.
I don't either.
Tech guy.
I just think of cool ideas, and then without having any idea if they're even possible.
Maybe every time somebody scores, they could have the thing look like a pop of a confetti cannon.
Or it makes it plays the fight song.
Yeah, I don't know if there's sound.
No, I don't.
I've got a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions about Team Ticker that we'll learn as we go along. But it looks awesome.
For sure.
That's the best I can tell you right there. We're learning as we go, but it looks great. And thanks to Abby Jump. That was really cool to get her on and chop it up. And Her dad is one of the people that influenced me most in my childhood. I love that man. He was awesome. And she literally was a toddler running around when I was in 6th, 7th grade playing baseball, and her dad was my teacher. So to see her now in that role, really, really cool. That's going to wrap it up. We'll see you next week. He's Dave Simone. I'm Chad Brendel. This is the BCJ podcast brought to you by the Holy Grail right here on BearcatJournal.com.